Hello and welcome to Behind the Stunts. I'm John Orty. Thanks very much indeed for joining me once again. I hope you're all well. It's a very special week because it's a very exciting time for motor racing and it's a very exciting time for movies. And the two have come together in this week's release, which is called Rush. It's the story of the battle between James Hunt and Niki Lauda, their trials, their tribulations, their angst towards each other, privately and of course on the track, and the main story itself absolutely sensational. It's been many years in the planning, and who else to direct it but Ron Howard, who of course has given us everything in the past, including Apollo 13. It's brilliantly performed, it's excellently acted, it's beautifully photographed, and many of the action sequences, many of the driving sequences filmed at Snetterton in the UK, with a large British and German contingency. They also filmed, of course, in Nuremberg as well, at the Nürburgring. Stunt coordinator on this is Mark Henson. Now, Mark Henson is second generation because his father, Frank, very prolific stuntman throughout the 60s and 70s. In fact, we saw him on this very show in episode 2. Him and Royal On come out crashing through a window in The Long Good Friday and then turning over a whole bunch of stock cars. Mark, of course, you will know, has been responsible for many big jobs in the past, including being Brendan Fraser's double on the Mummy pictures, and also for Bond fans out there, he would have doubled Robbie Coltrane in The World Is Not Enough during that caviar factory sequence where the helicopters are flying all over the place and there's a Rolls Royce reversing into the water. All of that was Mark Henson. So he's an ideal man for the job. His father, of course, he gets it from his father. Big driving background, lots of Sweeneys. Peter Braham, of course, who was coordinator on the Sweeney, always asked for Frank to do the driving on some of those major chase sequences, and is an ideal selection for this. He's assisted with another very familiar face that we see a lot of on this show, Jimmy O'D, James O'Donnell, who appears to have a movie every week at the moment. He's very busy, and a great list of British performers and German performers here. British ones include Paul Howell, Steen Young, Sam Parham, Ian Reid, David Newton, Errol Memmott, Andy Pilgrim, Aaron Topham, Reg Waymont and Leanne Yang, to name but a few. And a German team of precision drivers and stunt people, including Jörg Larbeck, Dominik Kowalski, Daniel Holst, Tobias Need, Thomas Poppel, Lars Wolters, Karl Stuck, who also acts as the stunt coordinator there for the German unit. What this movie appears to have done is it's taken the very necessity of Formula One, and it's also understood what's happened before. We're going to have a little look later on at some of those, two of the finest movies that were made with reference to motor racing. Grand Prix is one of the very best. I know for a fact that Ron Howard is a massive petrol head. He's also a huge Formula One fan, and is a great admirer of John Frankenheimer. And Grand Prix would have been an ideal situation, taking Grand Prix, which of course was made in 1966, and putting it into our current situation here, and yet using all the technical ability that we have now to create something set back in the 70s. It's a perfect time to make this movie, and I know it's going to be a big smash because it's massively popular. There was a preview back there in Dublin just the other week, and the press are going mad over here. I know certainly as far as the British public will be concerned, I'm sure they're going to love it too. So if you're a fan of Formula One, you're a fan of race cars, you're a fan of the heady days of the 70s, and when James Hunt ruled the world, get a load of this movie because it's absolutely sensational. We're going to have a look at the trailer, and we're going to have a look at some terrific behind the scenes stuff, the great featurette, and there's some lovely B-roll stuff as well. So feast your eyes on this.
Welcome to the most dangerous circuit on the season.
Electric tension here at Fuji.
Has so far been the story of two men. Grueling and incredibly dramatic season comes down.
And the racing grudge match of the decade.
The James Hunt-Niki Lauda rivalry is one of the greatest in all of sports. Their story is so remarkable that you could only do it if it was true, because people wouldn't quite believe it.
Niki Lauda and James Hunt side by side. An incredible battle between these two great drivers.
The film tracks right up until the end of the 1976 season, where the rivalry comes to a dramatic head.
That wind you can feel is me breathing down your neck. Next time I'll have you.
One of the things they say about that period, the 70s, in the Formula One world is that's when sex was safe and driving was dangerous.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die.
Niki approached it as rationally and as professionally as possible. Whereas James Hunt was a flamboyant ladies' man.
I've been told you're a bad boy.
He lived a rock and roll life, but had the talent to still put himself in the car and go like hell.
Talk to me, James. Don't make a stranger of me.
Don't go to men who are willing to kill themselves driving in circles looking for normality.
One of the fascinating aspects about that story is that fearlessness that these guys had. Like modern knights, constantly facing death.
I'm quicker than all of you.
Fine. Then let's race.
This will to win was driving both of these guys, and that all kind of came to a head in that 1976 season. They were willing to risk their lives to attain this elite status. They paid a price for it. They paid a price for it, but they defined themselves.
I feel responsible for what happened.
Trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
It's about friendship, about fear, overcoming fear, about rivals who push each other beyond their limits.
I'm world champion and on the verge to become world champion again.
I can beat this guy. Trust me.
This is a movie I wanted to see, and a world that I wanted to occupy and share with audiences. Not only because of the on-track drama, the life-death drama, it's also just the really, truly entertaining nature of these two guys. You know, they're both fascinating, they're funny, they're serious and formidable, and the combination of these guys, their rivalry, their relationships off the track as well, the way they went about the business of trying to be great was, I thought, emotional, cool, and certainly fascinating.
The closer you are to death, the more alive you feel. It's a wonderful way to live. It's the only way to drive.
Emergency. That was the racetrack. There's been an accident. Driver's been injured. He's coming in now.
Hello. I think the racetrack telephoned ahead that I was coming. Hunt, James Hunt. I had a friendly disagreement with another driver about his wife.
Why? What did he do?
I'd be happy to show you if you like.
James can be a loose cannon, but in terms of raw talent, there is no better driver in the world.
Why don't they make it safer?
Risk of death turns people on. Who's that?
It's Niki Lauda.
He's just been signed by Ferrari.
I'm both quicker than you and better at setting up the car.
James Hunt is a proven winner at the highest level.
Is there a question, or are you just trying to piss me off?
This is an incredible battle between these two drivers.
I heard about this thing with Niki. Everyone has.
James, do you think you can cope with the pressure?
To be a champion, you have to really believe it. You're just a party guy.
They're killing us out there. You're too far back.
I'm quicker than all of you.
And James Hunt is out.
It's over, superstar. More powerful than even the fear of death itself is the will to win. Which is why I'm here begging.
You really think you can beat him?
Trust me.
Today with the rain, it's the most dangerous track in the world.
That all depends on how good you are in the rain. Let's race.
Talk Talk to me, James.
Don't go to men who are willing to kill themselves driving in circles looking for normality.
Nicky Lauda, trapped in a searing inferno of 800 plus degrees.
I feel responsible for what happened.
Watching you win those races, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
The showdown between you and Nicky is all anyone wants to see.
Sensational. It just looks amazing, doesn't it? I mean, absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to see that with a paying audience. That really is going to be quite special. It's funny because over here, Northern Ireland, they're more two wheels than they are four wheels. They're very big with their TT racing. They're massively influenced by the late Joey Dunlop, of course. Many wins, the TT. The Ulster Grand Prix, the Northwest 100 and 200. So two wheels is a big thing for them. Four wheels, you know, they're not as popular over here, but I'm hoping that that's going to be a big success, a big success. So that's Rush, and it is out on Friday. Rush out and see it, please, if you will. You will not be disappointed. Our stunt reel feature for this week is a man who has raced professionally since 1994. In varying levels of motor racing. He's been involved in Formula 3, Indy Lights, the Le Mans 24-hour series, and also the GT Championships. In addition to motor racing, he's been able to make that transition to precision driving and stunt driving for film and television, and many of you will know his work from the last 3 James Bond adventures. Some say he has no understanding of clouds, and that his earwax tastes of Turkish delight. Some say he naturally faces magnetic north, and that his legs are hydraulic. Some say he can swim 7 lengths underwater, and that his buttocks are webbed. All we know is he used to be called the Stig.
Dark glass hour, you turn and cower, see it turn to dust. Move on a stone dark night, we take to flight. Snowfall turns to rust, seeming to fuse in mind like a nursing rhyme. Fat man starts to fall, here in a hostile place. I hear your face start to go. That's because I'm slightly blind. That's because I'm blinded. Sky, I have to lie. Shadows move in pairs, ring out from a bruised postcard in the shooting yard, looking through the tears. Out of the black slate time, we move in line, but never reach an end. Falling along straight down as the ice comes down, rivers start to bend. And if you think that I've been losing my way,
This is the Stig on maximum attack.
Yes, it was, of course, Ben Collins, who was formerly the Stig, and of course was the Stig on many, many series of Top Gear. Have you bought his book, by the way? You read the book? It's very good. And that's him on the back. Look, looking dashing. There he is. See? You see that? So if you haven't seen that, it's the Man in the White Suit. That's still available from all good bargain stores. Now, moving on to our classic sequence. It's a celebration this week, once again, of all things motor racing. We'll look at Grand Prix first, which really was the sort of the pinnacle as far as the very best of the motor racing pictures that had come along up until that point. Made in 1966, was the first real look at the sport of Formula One, and an extraordinary depiction directed by the late great John Frankenheimer. Real racing cars with real F1 drivers, surrounded by actors, and these actors were giving no quarter on the track, I must admit. James Garner, for instance, had gone to Frankenheimer and said, look, I'm a bit concerned by having all of these guys around me. You know, it is a motor car after all. Yes, I've got a camera mounting on mine, but that's the only thing that's different. I mean, what's the situation here? And Frankenheimer said to him, sit in the car, beat everybody off the grid, and win the race. Now, that's the advice he was given. And to be fair, you look at some of the sequences, and that's exactly what James Garner was doing. Foot to the floor the whole time, gear changing, you know, brilliant gear changing, really trying to get the most out of that vehicle. Stunt drivers in this picture included Max Balachowski, who was a former racing driver, and Tom Bamford was also involved, including Carrie Lofton, who did some of the driving in this picture as well. There are some incredible stunts in this picture too, not actually credited, but I'm assuming that those guys are going to have something to do with it. Have a look here at the trailer, and just awesome stuff. Have a look at this, it's fantastic.
Lately, I sometimes get very tired. Know what I mean? Very tired.
With 40 laps to go, Sarti could still catch the leader and win the race.
That's what they come for. See someone get killed?
It's hell for leather stuff. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Really is very exciting. The fact that those in-car shots were very new, and it really did put you in the driving seat. There was you felt every single corner, every gear change, every G as you went around the corner. Sensational stuff. Le Mans, which is the other one we're going to have a little look at, was almost a documentary in comparison to Grand Prix. Steve McQueen, of course, who was a huge fan of motor racing in whatever shape or form, whether it was on 2 wheels or 4 wheels, and was at the heart of this one. An epic about that wonderful 24-hour race. Again, galore, action galore, and many wonderful racing drivers took part to recreate the mayhem on this one. A different type of racing, the 24-hour thing. It had changed now, of course. Back in the days, there were situations where there were 2 drivers and they did 12 hours each. The things have changed since you're allowed to come in and take rapid changeovers, which didn't happen before. And it's still a terrific story. It stands up very, very well. And if you've ever been to that particular part of France, you will know the course very well and the surrounding areas, and many great shots in this. So this is Le Mans.
Racing's important as well. Racing is life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Michael, I want you to drive flat out.
Saw that again very recently, and it's a really very fine movie. If you're a fan of Formula One, if you're a fan of motor racing per se, you should really have that in your collection. That's Le Mans from 1971, and I think Rush is certainly going to be one of the ones that you would need to add to your motor racing collection. Just going back to that for a second, one of the guys involved in the movie is a precision driver called James Rhodes. Back in 1989, he was taking part in a race at Brands Hatch, and just to prove that, you know, accidents, you saw some of the accidents there in Grand Prix. These cars that I'm going to show you now, they're not a million miles away from that shape. They're not Formula One by any state of the imagination, but they're not a million miles away from that type of shape of racing car that were flying about. You could see that. In the movie, of course, there were fatalities, and it's important to look at the situations here and just compare the two. This is James Rhodes, proving that, yeah, you've got a 5-point racing harness, but you also want to have a few prayers along the way, just to make sure you stay in the vehicle. Catch a load of this.
Is number 82, and that is Jonathan Harbour.
Of the tire, and then the whole thing just cartwheels over and over, and he walked away, I believe is the phrase they use on those television series. The other thing I would like to show you, please if I may, is another precision driver who worked on Rush, Nicky Faulkner. And Nicky Faulkner is an extraordinary individual who races all sorts of vehicles. I'm going to show you a clip of a lap that he did in an aerial Atom. Now, if you've never seen an aerial Atom, it's a very small vehicle, but it really shifts. I would sit down for this. If you're not sat down, I would sit down and buckle yourself up, because you're going to get a camera eye, driver's eye view of what it's like to take an aerial Atom around a track. Get a load of this. Exhausted looking at it. I mean, I must admit, I'll just take the flies off my forehead. Really sensational stuff, and they are involved in Rush, so please go out and see Rush this week. If it's the one thing you do this weekend, I implore you to go and see it. That's us for this particular week. We will be back next week with more of the same, so until then, stay safe, and we'll see you all again next time. Thanks very much indeed for watching. Bye bye for now.